Dust kicks up from the dirt floor of a house in Galilee as a group of men pack their traveling bags. The autumn heat is breaking. He does not say he is afraid of the religious leaders waiting to trap him in the city. He looks at his brothers and says something terrifyingly cryptic. You look in the mirror and trace the lines forming around your eyes. You sit on the edge of the bed, feeling the cold floor against your bare feet. And you run the calculations again. The year is halfway over. The decade is slipping. The window for the career. The family. The healing, it feels like it is closing, sliding shut with the heavy, metallic thud of a vault door. You are terrified that you have missed your moment. We are taught from childhood that time is a ladder. You climb rung by rung, achieving the expected milestones in the exact expected order. If you slip, if you lose your grip, and fall back a few rungs, you believe you are permanently behind. You feel the splintered wood of the ladder in your hands. You look up at the people climbing effortlessly above you, and you feel the crushing weight of your own delay. This panic is the ultimate illusion of Chronos. When you feel the crush of delayed promises, you assume your detours and your wilderness years have permanently disqualified you from the life you were supposed to have. You look at the wasted months and see a deficit you can never repay. The delay is not a punishment. It is a preparation. The illusion of the ticking clock tells you that you are running out of the only currency that matters. My time has not yet come, but your time is always here. Most people assume time is just time, a straight line. It tells you that every day you spend in the wilderness is a day stolen from your purpose. But if Kairos is real, if the creator of the universe deals in appointed seasons rather than ticking seconds, then the waiting is never empty. The soil is doing its most critical work when the surface looks completely dead. Think about the ache in your jaw from clenching your teeth in the dark. Think about the hot tears that hit the leather steering wheel of your parked car when you realize another year has passed without the answer you begged for. You are mourning the loss of Chronos. You are grieving the linear seconds that dripped out of the glass while you were stuck in the waiting room. But your timeline is not bleeding out. It is being gathered. Every moment of isolation, every closed door, every agonizing silence is being pulled together into a heavy, pregnant Kairos that you cannot yet see. The Creator does not discard the broken years. He weaponizes them. He folds the grief and the waiting into a specific appointed season, waiting for the exact conditions to form so the arrow can finally fly straight. But this does not mean you are supposed to be passive. Waiting for Kairos is not an excuse for paralysis. Because while God controls the season, He requires you to act, a resource that drips out of a faucet until the tank is empty. And it does carry that weight sometimes, the moment the season arrives. And no one understood this violent tension better than a man chained to a stone wall, in the heart of the Roman Empire, writing a letter that would change how we see our daily routines. The floor is cold stone. The iron chafes against raw skin. A Roman soldier breathes heavily in the shadows. Paul sits in a rented house in Rome, chained to an imperial guard. He dips a reed pen into dark ink. He presses the tip against rough parchment. He is writing to a church located hundreds of miles away, in the wealthy, chaotic, idol-worshipping city of Ephesus. He gives them a specific command about how to live out their days. Read Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16 inches English. It sounds like a corporate productivity hack. Make the most of every opportunity. Use your time wisely. It sounds like an ancient version of a calendar app, but Paul does not use the word chronos. He uses kairos, and he pairs it with a violent, economic verb. The Greek word is exagorazo. It means to purchase completely. It means to walk into a loud, dusty slave market, pay the absolute highest asking price, and buy someone out of bondage forever. Paul tells the Ephesians to exagorazo the kairos, to ransom the appointed season, to buy back the heavy moments. He is not telling them to manage their schedules. But if you look closer at the language behind the text, at what actually happens in the moments Jesus stops walking, you start to see he is commanding them to rescue the divine opportunities. The marketplace in Ephesus is loud. Merchants scream their prices. Buyers haggle in the dirt. Izagorazu is a market word, and it requires capital. You cannot buy back the season for free. Capturing a Kairos moment costs you something. It costs your comfort. It costs your perfectly planned itinerary. It costs your pride. Jairus gave up his public dignity in the dirt. The bleeding woman risked being stoned by the crowd. They paid the price. They bought the moment. The days are evil. Paul writes, "The culture is rotting. The empire is burning. The steady march of Kronos will grind you to dust if you let it." But hidden inside the ticking clock, heaven is constantly opening windows of Kairos. A conversation that suddenly turns deep. An urge to stay awake in the dark and pray. A heavy silence where a hard truth needs to be spoken. A prompting to stop walking and turn toward a stranger. These are not random interruptions. These are harvest moments. You cannot create Kairos. You can only catch it. You have to stay awake. You have to watch the wind. You have to recognize when the threads open on the loom. And you have to throw the shuttle through before it closes. Because Kairos moments do not linger. The fruit drops. The arrow flies. The season passes. Paul sits in chains, facing his own execution. Something the calendar reading completely misses. Time is not a fading resource you are running out of. It is a canvas waiting for a collision, and he refuses to waste away tracking the clock. He writes letters. He preaches to his captors. He turns a Roman prison into a staging ground for a global revolution. He ransoms the season. But how do we know the ultimate price has actually been paid? How do we know God himself operates this way on a cosmic scale? You have to look at the exact center of human history. The first words Jesus speaks in the Gospel of Mark are a declaration of war against the clock. He walks out of the wilderness, steps into the dust of Galilee, and announces his public ministry with a single, earth-shattering sentence. The time is fulfilled, and the kingdom of God is at hand. Read that in English. And it sounds like he is announcing an event on a schedule. It sounds like a train finally arriving at the station. But the Greek word recorded by Mark is not chronos. It is kairos. Jesus does not say the clock has struck noon. He says the season is completely full. The Greek verb used here is peplerotai. It means to fill a vessel to the absolute brim, right to the edge of the glass, until the surface tension finally breaks and the water spills over the side. For thousands of years, humanity lived under the crushing tyranny of the ticking clock. We are a species haunted by tomorrow. We wake up feeling behind. We look at our age and panic about the career we have not built. Empires rose and collapsed into dust. Babylon built its golden walls. Persia swept across the desert. Greece conquered with bronze spears. Rome paved its roads with stone and blood. The mechanical gear of Kronos ground forward, swallowing generations into the grave. It looked like a massive, terrifying delay. It looked like the heavens were silent while the sand drained out of the glass. But God was not merely letting the clock run. The cross was not a tragic interruption of the Roman calendar. It was the absolute detonation of the divine season. Every prophecy spoken in the dark, every slaughtered lamb dripping blood on a bronze altar, every century of brutal waiting, it was all filling the glass. Drop by drop, century by century, the Creator was waiting for the exact cultural, political, and spiritual conditions to align. He was waiting for the Roman roads to be built, so the message could travel. He was waiting for the Greek language to spread so the letters could be read. He was preparing the Kairos. When the Roman hammer hit the iron spike on the wood of the cross, it was not the end of a timeline. It was the moment the loom finally opened. The shuttle passed through. The pattern of human history was pulled together in a single, agonizing afternoon. The family we have not started. The healing we have not found. We feel the sand slipping through the glass, and we frantically try to catch it. And the sky went completely black at midday to prove that the sun and the stars no longer dictated the hour. God ransomed the season. He paid the absolute highest price to buy humanity out of the slave market of the ticking clock. He stepped into the timeline to rescue us from the panic of our own mortality. And that historical reality is exactly what frees you from the anxiety you carry in your own chest right now. The brothers demanded a public schedule, and the maker of time waited for the father's season. A frantic father watched the sand drain from his daughter's life, and a dead girl took a breath. A bleeding woman reached through the suffocating dust of the crowd, and a 12-year agony was cured in a fraction of a second. A chained prisoner sat on a cold stone floor and commanded a church to buy back the heavy moments. The heavens stayed silent through centuries of empires rising and falling, and the exact cultural conditions for a revolution were poured into the glass. A Roman hammer drove an iron spike through human flesh, and the timeline of the world was torn completely open. The sky went black at midday over a skull-shaped hill, and the tyranny of the ticking clock was shattered forever. Jesus was not offering a bumper sticker here. He was diagnosing something. He was naming a disease that most people do not even realize they have. 2 words, 2 dimensions, one God who masters both. But maybe the part that stays with me most is the pause in Capernaum, the physical stop in the dirt road. Jesus anchoring his feet in the dust while a father's heart shatters, and a medical stopwatch hits absolute zero. He let the chronos completely expire. He let the timeline break, just so he could turn around, look a trembling outcast in the eye, and pull her into her Kairos. If you are in a season where you look at your own age and feel a cold panic in your chest, if you are staring at the calendar, terrified that your detours have disqualified you and the window has permanently closed, the silence you are experiencing is not a rejection. It is a gathering. You are not running out of the only currency that matters. You are being positioned for the exact moment the arrow needs to fly. And may the God who has never once been rushed by a ticking clock walk with you through your waiting and bring you into the appointed season you could not have entered any other way. The real question isn't how much time you have left. It is which time you are living in. And the answer changes how you view every missed deadline, every delayed promise, and every long winter of your life. The place to start is the Greek language itself. Because when Jesus spoke, the roads are filling with pilgrims carrying palm branches, the air thick with the smell of travel, sweat, and dried figs. To his brothers that day, the writers who recorded his life did not use the normal word for time. They used a word that breaks the clock entirely. The ancient Greeks did not look at the clock the way we do. When you open an English Bible and read the word time, you are looking at a flat translation of a 3-dimensional reality. The Greeks possessed 2 completely distinct words for the concept of time, and confusing these 2 words is the source of half the anxiety in the modern human heart. The first word is the Greek chronos. You already know this word. It is the root of chronology, chronograph, and chronic. Chronos is time as a raw quantity. It is the steady, mechanical tick of the grandfather clock echoing in the hallway. It is the cold metal edge of a ruler, measuring the literal distance from your birth to your death. Chronos is entirely blind to meaning. It only cares about sequence. It marches ruthlessly forward, counting seconds, and to 4 minutes, days, and decades, completely indifferent to what happens inside them. When the brothers of Jesus stand in that dusty house and tell him to hurry to Jerusalem, they are operating exclusively in Chronos. The festival begins on a specific date. The caravan leaves at a specific hour. If you do not tie your sandals, it is the Festival of Tabernacles, the biggest religious event of the year in Jerusalem. And Jesus' brothers are annoyed. They look at him and walk out the door right now. You will lose your opportunity. But when Jesus replies, "My time has not yet come," he refuses to use their vocabulary. The word Jesus uses in John chapter 7, verse 6, is the Greek Kairos. Kairos has absolutely nothing to do with seconds or minutes. It is not quantitative, it is qualitative. Kairos is the right time, the appointed season, the heavy, pregnant moment. If Chronos is the ticking of a metal gear, Kairos is the exact moment a bruised fig is finally heavy and sweet enough to drop from the branch into your hand. In ancient archery, Kairos was the precise fraction of a second when the wind died down and the target aligned perfectly with the tip of the arrow. In the art of weaving, it was the brief opening in the loom's threads where the shuttle could finally pass through and pull the pattern together. Kairos is not a measurement of duration. It is a measurement of readiness. Jesus looks at his frantic, ambitious brothers and says, "Your time is always here." He is telling them a brutal truth. If your only goal is to show off, if you are just trying to build a platform and get noticed by the crowd, they know what he can do. They have seen the healings, the crowds, the bread multiplying on the grass. So they give him a piece of career advice. Any day on the calendar will work. Any random hour is fine for an empty performance. But a divine collision requires a divine setup. God does not operate on a wristwatch. He operates on the harvest. We spend our entire lives tracking our chronos, panicking that the line is getting too long. But God is only ever measuring our Kairos. And understanding the difference between the ticking clock and the appointed season completely changes how you read the most agonizing interruptions in the biblical narrative. You wake up tired. You reach out in the dark. You check the glowing screen. It is kolme, 14 a.m. You are already calculating. You are already behind. You measure the hours left to sleep. You count the days until the payment clears. You track the months since the prayer started. The timeline feels like a physical weight pressing on your chest. You look at the people around you. Their timelines seem perfect. The rings shine on their fingers. The keys jingle in their pockets. The job titles update on their screens. You look at your own hands. They are empty. You feel the tightness in your throat. You feel the knot in your stomach. You are drowning in chronos. We treat existence like a stopwatch. We sprint for the milestones. If we are not established by 30, we failed. Leave this rural backwater. Go to Judea. Show yourself to the world. If you are going to be a Messiah, if the career is not locked in by 40, it is ruined. If the child has not come home by 50, the story is over. This anxiety is not a lack of faith. It is an addiction to the wrong dimension. You are grading your life on a rubric God never printed. You look at the silent heavens and see a brutal delay. He looks at the unseen depths and sees a foundation pouring. Chronos demands speed. Kairos demands readiness. When you exist entirely inside the ticking clock, every interruption is an enemy. The flat tire is a disaster. The sickness is a stolen month. The failed relationship is 3 wasted years you can never get back. Because in Chronos, time is a literal line of sand, and every grain that falls is gone forever. You cannot get it back. You cannot rewind the glass. The loss feels permanent. The waste feels unforgivable. But God does not measure the waste. He measures the weight. He is not rushing to meet an artificial deadline on a calendar he did not create. He is waiting for the exact conditions of a Kairos moment to form. But what if the interruption is not a distraction? What if the delay is the exact location of the deliverance? To see how the maker of time handles human panic, you have to play the game on the main stage. They are looking at the calendar. They are looking at the ticking clock. You have to watch him get interrupted. You have to watch him deal with a man whose clock has hit absolute zero. It happens in the heat of Capernaum, surrounded by a screaming crowd. With a desperate father falling into the dirt, a man throws his body into the dirt of Capernaum. The afternoon sun is brutal. The street is packed with shouting voices, but Jairus, a powerful ruler of the local synagogue, does not care who is watching him weep. His 12-year-old daughter is dying at home. Her breathing is shallow. The fever is spiking. You can almost hear the frantic ticking of the clock in the father's chest. Chronos is evaporating, second by second, and he begs the teacher to come before it is too late. Jesus agrees. They start moving, but the crowd is suffocating. Shoulders ram into shoulders. Dust fills the air. And somewhere in the crushing pressure of the bodies, a woman who has been bleeding in isolation for 12 straight years reaches out. A desperate, trembling hand grips the woolen fringe of his cloak. Jesus stops. He stops walking entirely. In the middle of an active medical emergency, with a stopwatch counting down to a little girl's final breath, he anchors his feet in the road and asks the crowd who touched him. If feeling the tension of this delay resonates with the panic, time is running out, and the festival is starting. Most people read this scene in John chapter 7 as a simple family argument. In your own waiting season, you're exactly who this channel is for. Drop a thought in the comments and hit subscribe. Because every week, we go deeper into the text than you knew was possible. So, Jesus turns around in the crowded street. Imagine the absolute agony of Jairus in this moment. He is watching the shadows lengthen on the walls. He is measuring the physical distance left to his house. He is trapped entirely inside Kairos, watching the last few grains of sand drain out of the glass while this healer talks to a stranger. But Jesus is responding to Kairos. The woman's desperate reach has torn open a hole in the fabric of an ordinary Tuesday. She has pulled heaven down into the dirt. And Jesus recognizes the heavy, pregnant weight of the moment. The pause is not a distraction. It is a divine appointment. Jesus takes the time to look the trembling woman in the eye. He calls her daughter. He publicly seals her, healing, so she will never be outcasted again. And right at that exact moment, while he is still speaking to her, the messengers push through, the crowd from Jairus' house. They carry the words every parent fears more than anything else in the world. Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further? The Kairos timeline has officially expired. The line has met its absolute end. The medical clock has hit zero, a disagreement about travel plans. But if you look closer, at the exact words spoken in the room, it is not a scheduling conflict. But what Jesus says next proves that he does not need the clock to be ticking to do his work. The messengers deliver the verdict. The clock hits zero. The timeline snaps. In the dimension of Kairos, death is the absolute boundary. It is the final period at the end of the sentence. The heart stops. The lungs empty. The body cools. The sand runs out and the glass shatters. But the creator of the timeline does not panic when the clock stops. This is the physics of a divine shift. We think an expired deadline means a failed promise. We think a closed door means an abandoned plan. We look at a barren womb, a bankrupt business, a stone rolled across a tomb, and we declare the end of the story. But Kairos does not need Chronos to cooperate. A divine appointment does not require favorable scheduling. God allows the timeline to break. He lets the wine run out at the wedding. He lets the boat fill with water in the storm. He lets the sick friend die in Bethany and stays away for 4 more days. He waits until the human timeline is completely exhausted, until every natural solution has expired, until the clock is completely dead. Why? Because the delay is not a denial. It is a setup. It is a collision of 2 completely different dimensions. Listen to his response. He does not say he is too busy. When time runs out, human agency ends. When human agency ends, divine weight enters. Jesus waited for the clock to break in Capernaum, so the crowd could see what happens when heaven invades earth. He walks past the weeping relatives. He ignores the smell of funeral spices already hanging heavy in the hot air. He steps over the threshold of a tragedy. He touches cold skin. He speaks a word, and a dead girl breathes. The miracle is not just a resuscitation. It is a rebellion against the clock. It proves that God is not bound by the sequence of our days. He is not restricted by the calendar we hang on our walls. If a moment carries the weight of Kairos, it can rewrite a lifetime of Chronos in a single second. Your expired timeline is not a burial ground. It is a staging area. Chronos measures the decay. Kairos delivers the life. The ancient writers understood this collision. They saw it happen in Capernaum. They saw it happen at the edge of a grave. But Jesus wasn't the only one who used this word. Years later, a man sitting in a Roman prison cell would pick up a pen and use the exact same Greek word to give a command. And his command reveals a terrifying truth about the days you are living right now.